Hi everyone, welcome back. It's
Hello.
interview this week, and this week we're interviewing Mark Hollis. Hi Mark, how you
Hi.
doing?
Hi, Cathy. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Very well. Concerning the clocks changed last night, I'm still awake. Just about.
Not ready for bed yet then.
No,
Um,
I might fall asleep halfway through, just to let you know.
yeah, and we saw you helped put the crosses up yesterday. Was that good fun?
Yeah, that was an amazing experience. It really was. And we did well. We had to stop 3 times, even in that short distance. But people were nice to us. We didn't get any hecklers or anything like that. But a marvelous experience in many ways. So, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's wonderful. And of course, you know why we're here. We're interviewing you to find out lots more about you and about your faith journey. And for our young people, what was it like for you when you were their age?
Well, I went to Sunday school. I was sent to Sunday school by my parents, and we used to go to Hutton Church, Church of England church, and it was your old traditional hymns, Onward Christian Soldiers, and all those lovely old hymns. When you're a
I
youngster, they seem to go on
remember
forever,
them. Yeah.
and uh, and it was hugely populated. Massive amounts of children in the Sunday school groups and things like that. So I attended Sunday school and did that for a number of years, and then I was asked to become a server, which I was a bit reluctant to do at first, but I did. I wore the old white and black gown, and I sat with the choir, who are all about 50 or 60 years older than me. So I felt the odd one out, but lovely characters and that, and that was good. And I just went along because I thought it was what you were supposed to do. And even as a server, it was good, and I did feel something about it. I did feel quite safe up there at the altar, looking back on it. I felt protected.
Yeah.
But as I was becoming a teenager, you'd see things on songs of praise, people start singing these songs like "Shine, Jesus, Shine," and sticking their arms in the air. And for some reason, I couldn't relate to it. I felt as if I was perhaps being a bit of fraud because I wasn't perhaps feeling what they were feeling.
Mm.
And I quite began to question that a lot. So after a lot of sort of thought, I then did walk away from the church. Not that I had become an atheist, but I just didn't feel as if I was going for the right reasons, shall we say.
Mm.
So throughout my years following that, my mum, bless her, would try and encourage me to keep coming back to church, and I would sort of come back the odd occasion. But sometimes it'd be something along to like an evening song service, and that didn't particularly help because because everybody would be wording these psalms in a monotonous voice all the way through until they finally running out of breath like that, and there'd be these lovely old chaps falling asleep at the back, who I would call the nodding dogs,
Oh,
because given it that every so often.
oh.
Great characters, but that didn't seem to help. But during those years, I would often go along to these sort of christenings or dedications, or maybe a wedding of people I know. And sometimes, on the odd occasion, I'd find that I would feel emotional, or my eyes would well up, and I didn't know why until like later on.
Mm.
So this went on for a number of years, but like I said, I never became an atheist or anything like that. But I was always looking for answers, and if I'm honest, I was probably looking for black and white answers, which you don't get.
No.
See, I was looking for perhaps evidence or true reasons why these things happened and questioning it.
But back then as well, because for those of you out there, Mark and I are there's only about 4 or 5 days between us. I was born 4 or 5 days after you, wasn't I? So
Yeah.
We were at exactly the same era, and I can remember it. What everything was clear and colourful at church,
Yeah.
but some of it I didn't understand. I understood all the Sunday school stuff, but when I
Yes.
went into big church, I was like,
Yes.
whoa.
Yes. And also at a young age, when I was 10, I was actually confirmed at the age of 10, which looking back is like, wow. And my sister, who's 3 years older than me, she's been confirmed. So I don't know if they're doing two for the price of one deal, a church thing, I don't know. But the thing, and it was great. Like, I'm up at the altar drinking wine out of chalice. I was happy 10-year-old,
Yes, yeah, every parent likes their children all being organised on the same day, don't they?
That's right. So, so this went on for a long time, and during my life, as with every sort of teenager, I think I've had my sort of ups and downs, and as I was going into young adulthood, I was getting into long-term relationships, and none of them were really from a Christian background at all. And that was something which was missing, I think, looking back on it. And time went on, various sort of relationships. And then when I was 39, I had been doing online dating and things like that, and met all sorts of bizarre characters, shall we say. And but then I was on Facebook, and there's an application on there where you could have people popping up, and you could click on smiley, cheeky, happy, or I'm interested in you, and things like that. Well, some ladies would click on interested, and they lived in like Nottingham and things like that. And I thought, well, what's the point in that? And and then Catherine appeared on this and said, I'm interested in you. And I said, thank you. I think you clicked on the wrong button. So she replied, well, what button have I clicked? You clicked on, I'm interested in you. And she put, thank heavens for that. I thought I clicked the wrong button. And I was like, oh, okay. And she said, where do you live? And I said, I live in a town south of Bristol called Weston-super-Mare. Do you know it? She's like, yeah, I live there too. So, and we just really hit it off, just messaging each other. And then we finally met for a date, and the rest is history. But when I met her on a date, because I've been in so many relationships, I'd eventually become a sort of chameleon, trying to blend in whoever I was a partner with, trying to blend in what they believed in, or what they thought was right, or what they looked at on life, and not really being honest with myself. And that's a big mistake. You need to always be honest with yourself and what you're searching for.
Definitely.
And I went along to that interview thinking, that's it. I'm just going to be who I am. This is it. Take it or leave it. And luckily for me, Catherine felt exactly the same when she came to meet me. So when she went to tell me that she'd been to St. Paul's Church and belonged to that, it was almost a sense of relief, because deep down, that's what I was perhaps looking for in my relationship. Somebody had those same sort of beliefs, maybe on the same journey, or even that step ahead. And we just clicked like that. And so that's how we sort of met. And after being together a while, then we got married, and then we were looking for a church to start with. And so we then went along to a Christingle service at Lough Castle Church. And straight away we felt welcomed. Catherine knew quite a few people who were at Lough Castle from the days when she was at St. Paul's. But instantly I felt very welcomed, very warm, very sort of family environment. And I really liked that. And then to suddenly hear modern worship songs, it was great because it was personal. The lyrics in these songs are so personal. It expresses your feelings towards God and what God feels for you. And that was really good. And so I started going along to the men's breakfast on a Saturday morning, which is great because there's a bit of camaraderie around the chaps there, and it's great. All sorts of different ages, great characters. And after going 2 or 3 times,
I hope they bring those back, Mark, because I'm still determined to gate crash one. Oh, apparently I've got to wear a beard, Andy.
That's right. You could put a deep voice on. Hello.
Hello?
Bacon. So
I've come for the bacon.
yes. So I go along there, and I was approached by Adam, who used to lead the youth back then, and he said, "Would you like to give a testimony?" And I said, "Why? Why would you ask me? What do I have to give? I've only just started coming to church and explained about my background." And he said, "That's more reason why you should do a testimony." So I did, and I'm really pleased that I did. And as time has come on, my faith has built up. And before going to Locken Castle, I did actually try Alpha. Now, unfortunately, on that particular occasion, for many reasons, it didn't gel with me. It wasn't quite right. And it was the old style of the sort of presentation. And there wasn't a Holy Spirit day. Some bits had been missed out. And when it came to the end of the Alpha course, the small group that we were in, we were going to read a leaflet to show our sort of becoming a Christian. And then we was told, if it didn't feel right, then you don't have to do it. And to me, it didn't feel right. It felt awkward saying no, but I had to be honest with myself. And I think it's important in whatever decisions you make in life, in relationships or in your faith journey, it has to be right with you. And on that particular occasion, it was like somebody saying, for example, "Hey, Cathy, it's your special birthday today. You can have any cake you want, any sort of style. How would you like it?" And you could say, "I want little fireworks coming off. I want sparkle bits inside. I want it to tingle my tongue. And I want it to sing happy birthday as I cut into it, like some sort of Willy Wonka's version of a birthday cake."
Sounds
And
good.
then I turn to you and say, "Well, there you go." And I give you a cupcake with a candle in it. And that's not what you're feeling for. So on that occasion, I didn't. So, however, when I had done my testimony, it was recommended that I have a go at the Alpha again, which I'm really glad that I did, because I had many questions, and the great thing is, so does everybody else, and you feel that you're not alone, and you make some incredible discoveries about yourself as well, and it felt really good.
Alpha takes you on a journey, doesn't it? And you don't have to do one alpha. You know, I've been on about 6, so and it just really does take you on a journey, and you get to find more about not just yourself, but your relationship with God, which is the important thing.
Yes. When I was doing Alpha, I would watch all these videos, and I remember I used to be very envious of these people said they could hear God, and
sorry, Mark, Andy's just interrupting us. You probably tell by my face. You'll have to hold it up again, Andy. He's asking, was it lift it up? Was it a Christian online dating website?
No,
look, he sat there thinking about that.
No, it wasn't. No, I don't think they.
No,
it wasn't. I didn't even know.
Facebook, wasn't it, Mark? Where you met
on Facebook, but the online dating was just the only online dating. I didn't even know there were Christian online dating websites back then. I think if they'd been around then, yeah, I would have definitely on those, you know.
Yeah.
But going back on the Alpha, going back to the Alpha, I was very envious of people who would say they felt God talking to him or hearing Jesus talking to him. I thought, how does that happen? How do you get that? And I remember watching one Alpha video, and there's a chap who'd been in prison for GBH, and for a number of occasions, and he was in prison for quite some time, and he found Jesus. And I remember thinking, wow, how far do I have to go? but obviously I didn't have to resort to GBH or anything like that.
Thank goodness. I don't think Catherine would be too chuffed either.
No. So Alpha was great, and it really did help. And I urge anybody who's considering it, just do it and be yourself, and ask those questions. And it's amazing what you learn from other people as well.
Yeah,
And
we've done a few youth Alpha courses. It's probably, as we come back together, it'd be nice to do that again with the young people. But maybe we could get you along, Mark, and you can join
sure.
in with that.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. But once I'd done Alpha, I felt great, and I felt as if I had just been equipped with a toolkit. You know, because at the end of the day, you can do Alpha and that, but you will have issues in life, ups and downs. And although you become a Christian in that, doesn't mean you're not going to experience the bad times. You will, but you will be given those tools, be more equipped, and you are being looked after.
Yeah.
And that's what I felt. And the months leading up to that Alpha was very tough. I'd lost my cousin to cancer at the age of 35. He had suffered for 5 months with that and suddenly passed away. And then the month after his passing, my dad was diagnosed stage 3 cancer. So those were difficult times. And I made the mistake of coming away from the church. Not that I felt a bit lost, and I didn't want people seeing me feeling down at church and that. And for some reason, I thought just stepping back would help. But it didn't in a way. It didn't really help. But I'm so thankful for being part of a church family, because I had people like Paul and Brian. They'd meet me even if it's for a drink or go for a walk. I was even taken fishing by Brian. But it was great, and I will never forget that sort of church family care, being there for you, or just even listening to you. It means so much. But I did come back, and then it was a difficult time because with what was happening to my dad and work pressures at my existing job, I was then signed off work due to anxiety and panic attacks. And basically, I was told that if I didn't come away from work, I'm more likely to have a heart attack because my blood pressure was so high. And eventually, I was signed off for about 6 months, and that was a very dark time for me. And at times, I didn't feel that I wanted to be around, not to end anything, but just not exist. I felt very, very low with what was going on around me.
I
But
can
I did
relate to that. Especially losing a parent, you know, you become quite insular, and it's how you keep your relationship with God. It's tricky, it's hard. It can go either way, and never feel guilty about whichever way, because that's it. No matter, God's got us, but sometimes we don't quite see that, do we? The connection is a little bit shaky for a while, but God had you with all your church family, thankfully. And
absolutely. I mean, and that during that time, I then 6 months later, I did actually find a new job, which I'm still in now at the moment, and I've been so much happier for it, less stressful. And sadly, my dad did then pass away later that year in December. And I almost sort of came away from the church again, but I didn't. And I just kept praying and praying and praying. And sometimes you have moments that you don't know if you're being listened to. It's almost like walking into a dark meeting room, which you've just missed the meeting, and you're just hearing your own echo going, hello? And you're praying the same thing day after day. Is he all right? Where is he? And all that stuff. And that was difficult, but it makes you dig deep, even deeper. You hang in there. And the only way I've been able to describe it to people is that when you have these storms in life, be it grief or relationship difficulties or finance stuff, it's almost like flying a kite on a beach, and a storm comes along and your kite's going out of control and it's about to come out of your hands. Well, a kite to me is like hope and faith. Your string is your hope, your kite is faith. and you hang on real hard, even if your finger's bleeding, you hang on tight, and I guarantee that storm will pass. You just hang on in there and it will pass, and things will come back to normal.
Oh, such a lovely way of putting it. I've got goosebumps. I love that. I love that.
And I still have to remind myself of that now. You know, we still have our ups and downs,
Yeah.
but dig deep. That's all I can say on that. And just be honest with yourself. Be honest with God, because God is the ultimate parent. And it doesn't matter how you're dressed or where you are, if you're going to communicate with him. If you go to see your parents, you don't put on a smart suit or a dress and go into a special room and bow to them and to talk to them. If you did, they say, "What are you doing?" It's the same with God. It doesn't matter how you look or how you present yourself. He wants to know. He wants to hear. So be honest with yourself. Be honest with God, and you won't go wrong. And that's what I have learned a lot. And at times I get anxiety issues. I get a few spiritual attacks sometimes because there's somebody down there who doesn't want you to do well in your faith journey. And that can be difficult. But again, you know, dig deep and talk to your friends in the church. They're there for you because they've experienced the same. And you can be for them as well. And yeah, I'm very lucky because I think I have a wonderful wife. I have wonderful children, and I think without them and my church family, I think things could be a lot different now than what they are now. So I am so grateful and so lucky. Absolutely.
Oh, Mark, you're just so amazing, though. And the one thing that you're really famous for at Locking Castle Church are your jokes, especially your jokes on Facebook. They just keep everyone cheered up, but not just that. We all talk about them. We all talk about the different jokes that you crack or find. And is this a natural gifting? It feels like it is of yours.
Well, they're ones that I find I can't take credit for them really. I just see ones which I think would be great, and it takes us away from COVID related stuff or any stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, when you go on TV and things like that, the news media can be so unmotivating and or making people feel a bit aggressive as well. And I'd want to try and bring back some of that old Dunkirk spirit where, you know, during the Second World War, there'd be songs sung on the radio to lift people's spirits and comedians on the radio to make people laugh. And that's what we're lacking at the moment. So it's just my little bit of contribution to try and give that bit of escapism from people.
Yeah, so Andy's asking, is the next thing that we're going to hear Mark singing?
Yeah.
The next Dame Vera Lynn.
Oh.
We have, we have missed a little section of your life with Jesus, haven't we, Mark? And that was something that Andy and I were very fortunate to share with you a couple of years ago at New Wine. Tell our young people about what happened to you there, because that was just wonderful.
That was amazing. I went to 2019, and I remember leading up to New Wine, I was very nervous. I mean, I'm not a great fan of camping for starters. I've not hardly done camping before, and because of my sort of perhaps anxiety, which I mentioned earlier, I didn't know how people were going to accept me, if I was going to really enjoy this, or would I get a spiritual attack and feel not enjoying it at all. So I was quite anxious about it, and I prayed about it, and I asked my life group, I attended Amy's life group, to pray for me, because I was very nervous. This was going to be my Marmite moment. I was either going to hate it or really love it. I heard such good things, and I just didn't want to be disappointed. So anyway, went along. It was great. Set up the tent, and it was like, okay, you know.
You had a good neighbour.
Yes, absolutely. And seeing the worship straight away was fantastic. The atmosphere was really good.
Mm.
And I went to a few talks, you know, you sign up, and nearly every morning, Paul and I went along to see Charlie Cleverly, who's an amazing chap. And this is 7:30 in the morning, mad. And we went to look, listen to him talk. And I could sort of relate to some of it not. I was feeling a bit the black sheep amongst the flock, as they say, you know, sometimes. But sometimes my anxiety get the better of me, and I wasn't sure if I was blending in, even with the people I knew from church. And it was getting to me a bit much, over worrying about things, over worrying what people might think, or if they misheard me, ridiculous things like that to drive you crazy. And I sat with Catherine one evening and I said, I just don't know if I can do this anymore. I'm so tired.
Mm.
And it's tiring, this yo-yoing sort of anxiety. You've heard of yo-yo diets. Well, anxiety can be like a yo-yo diet sometimes.
Mm.
And I said, I just don't know how long I can keep doing this, which was worrying for Catherine as well as myself once I said that. Now, the following morning, got up pretty fresh and went along to see another session with Charlie Cleverly. Paul wasn't with me on that particular morning. And Charlie was talking and he was saying about, he said something along the lines, if you just want to make that commitment to that, just put your hands up. So we all stood up and I just put my hand up. I thought, I really need this. And as I had my hand up, I had the vision of a hand right next to mine, like a mirror. And this face was just laughing at me, not in a mocking sense, but just in a sort of like an old mate giggling at you. And to me, I was being told it was Jesus. And Jesus was saying to me, I've been here all the time, mate. It was like an old friend saying, I've been here all the time. And he just giggled. And it felt so real and lifelike. It was quite powerful. But the bizarrest thing, I mean, looking back now, I thought I'd go, wow, everybody, guess what? Guess what? And I didn't. I just sat back down. We carried on. And I thought about it and I thought, wow, that was pretty sharp in my mind. And I meant to meet Catherine at the main hall for the morning worship. And she said, you're right. I said, yeah. I said, and I told her what I experienced. She said, do you realize the Holy Spirit's just giving you an image? Well, I also meant to say, as I was looking at Jesus, I was desperately trying to remember what he looked like. It's like, note this, note this, note this. You really need to note this. And his image just totally kept changing. His eyes, his skin color, his hair, bearded shape just totally changed. And I felt I was getting the voice saying to me, it doesn't matter what I look like, just know that I'm here for you. And in another way saying, don't sweat the small stuff because I'm here for you. I've always been here for you and I always will be, as long as you want me in your life. And that's what came over. And when I explained to Catherine, she told me, wow, I was quite emotional and I couldn't believe it. I was just incredible, something what I'd yearned for so long, and that happened. And then we went to sing our first worship, and the song one is This Is Love. Now, for you who may know this song, the chorus goes, thank you, thank you. And for the first time in my life, I stood up and sang the song with my arm in the air, which to me, 20 or 30 years previously, I thought was totally alien to me. And this felt just right. And absolutely
Just reaching and holding his hand and
yes.
enjoying worship.
And it just opened everything up that had been on my mind for so long. And straight after that, I went to see a talk by Patrick Regan, talking about his Honesty Over Silence, his second book, which covers things like anxiety, depression, and all feelings like that that people and children go through as well. And I went, and then there must have been, there's people stood up, and there must have been about 80 of us. And he started showing a list of the telltale signs of what you could be experiencing. And I was looking at this list going, yep, 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 that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me, every one. And he said, put your hands up if you experience any of these. Everybody put their hand up. And it's like, I just felt, see, you're not alone. You are not alone in all this. So many people experiencing the same. And I thought, wow, this day just gets better and better. And the rest of the new wine was absolutely brilliant. And it's got better and better. And I shared that with the church when I came. I was asked to share that with the church when I came back, which I gladly did. And just being involved in the church more, doing the reading and welcoming that, it's great having that communication with people. And it's a real privilege to be part of it, even reading, to be given the opportunity to communicate God's word to people is a real privilege. And I try to just do justice by the scripture that you're reading out. And if that communicates with somebody or brings an answer to somebody, then again, my job is done. And it's wonderful. It really is.
You've just summarized so much for the young people, things that they've gone through. Anxiety and depression they're quite apparent at the moment. After years of being told they can do things, they've had a whole year now of being told you can't go there, you can't do that. So they are struggling. And to hear your relationship with Jesus and how it's formed, that I'm sure they can all totally relate to that, and to hear that they're not on their own.
Absolutely.
I think for all of us is amazing. Your journey is just wonderful, Mark, and to for them to know that it's a privilege to serve God.
I mean, I know I sort of babbled on, but if two things I would just like to stress, especially to youth, two things. If you've got to take something away from this, there's two things I want you to remember is one, that you are not alone, and two, you are loved. And don't forget that. If you're by yourself or in a relationship or whatever, you are loved.
Yeah, amen to that. Well, we are at our half an hour, and Andy has challenged me to do the 10 quick fire questions as quick as I can, and I've never managed it. So with your help, Mark, I'm hoping we can get through 10 questions very, very quickly. Are you ready?
As much as I can be.
What is your favorite word?
My favorite word is flopbot.
Flopbot. Oh, we'll talk about that later. What is your least favorite word?
Well, I don't have a very least favorite word, but what I hate is words with unnecessary endings. For example, if you watch something like Country File and somebody walks into this old cottage and go, oh, this is cottagey. Why cottagey? And like Master Chef, this week alone, there was a lady, a hairdresser, and Greg goes, oh, that looks lovely. What are you doing there? And she said, oh, this is a chocolatey cakey topping. And I thought, well, why don't you just say chocolate cake topping? And then one of the professional cooks was commentating on a guy's dish, and she commented on about his satay. She said, it's not peanutty enough. Not peanut.
I just failed on the
And it really riles. I don't, it just.
I love it. Mark, come on, what motivates you?
Corpsing. Absolutely. Well, laughter, like we're doing now. That's what motivates me. Absolutely.
What would demotivate you?
Snobbery and rudeness, I think.
Yes, I agree. What sound or noise do you love?
I love the sound of laughter, especially babies giggling. That's quite addictive.
Oh, lush, yeah. So what sound or noise do you not like?
Well, the sound I don't like is when you have certain large pets that break winds during their sleep. And it's not so much the noise, it's what follows. It's your alarm call, like say, wait for it, here it comes. Oh, and when you've got a party of people there, and you're like, anyone for any more Victoria sponge? Okay. We used to have an Afghan hound, and he was notorious for it. Oh, wow.
Maybe I shouldn't ask number 7. What is your comfort food?
Comfort
He's
food.
crying.
Well, my comfort food is millionaire shortcake.
Oh, love it.
Shortbread.
What is your hobby, Mark?
My what?
Your hobby?
Hobby. I do play the guitar.
Yes.
So I play that a lot, you know, for just for, well, sometimes when you just feel like chilling or feeling a bit down, sometimes pick up the guitar. So I do that.
Oh,
Good or badly, it doesn't really matter.
Well, Mark, what job would you like to have if you didn't have the one you do have?
One of them, I'm a great fan of the James Herriot stories. So in some ways, I'd love to be a vet, especially on farms.
Oh, excellent. And
Marvelous.
finally, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive in heaven?
Well, I got 2 answers for that. What I think he might say is he'll have a clip chart and he'll look and go, this can't be right. So, but what I'd like him to say was, there, what were you worrying about?
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to say.
Amen. Oh, Mark, thank you so much. Andy's already told me when we were on question 2 that I failed. So if anyone wants to be interviewed and maybe help me get the 10 quick fire questions out quickly, let us know. But Mark, it's been wonderful interviewing you, and you are just amazing and such good fun. And thank you for making us all laugh.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for asking me. It's been lovely. Thank you.
And guys, we'll see you all soon. We have Easter next week. If you'd like to join us, are we going to Movement online, Andy? Yeah. So yeah, next week we'll be at Movement online, but we will let you know through the week how we are going to do that. And then hopefully another quiz in a couple of weeks' time. Who knows what it'll be? They change all the time. Oh, it's wrestling. Are you any good at wrestling, or do you know anything about wrestling, Mark?
I used to watch the days when Big Daddy was on, but that's
Yeah.
way before people's time.
We remember Big Daddy, yeah. Well, thank you so much, Mark.
You're welcome.
George said, thank you, Mark, for your quick fire answers. She loved them. So, guys, thank you for your comments. Thank you, Mark, once again. Thank you for making us all laugh. You're amazing. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye.